Okay, so good evening, everybody, and welcome to Stay Motivated as a Referee. This is part of the Ladies Football webinar series, and we hope you will all enjoy it this evening. I'm Claire Dowdall, the National Referee Development Officer here for Ladies Football in Croke Park, the remit of referee and player welfare. Tonight I have with me Grode, who is our Monster GDO, and he's going to look after all the chat functions for me and make sure I'm keeping on track. That's going to be his job for the evening. And we have Shane Curley. Shane is one of our national referees, and he just recently refereed All Ireland Intermediate Final. Shane has a wealth of experience regarding refereing and hopefully about how he's staying motivated, and hopefully he can take that to us tonight. So just want to say thank you both lads for joining us, and hopefully everybody will pick up something tonight from our webinar. So you want to just say hello there?
Hi everybody.
Good evening all.
So folks, without any further ado, I'm just going to go through what the aims of tonight's webinar is. So the first thing we're going to tackle is actually understanding what motivation is. I think this is really important because it's very hard to maintain motivation if you aren't too sure what it is and how you can help maintain it. Provide a guidance on how to stay motivated, obviously understanding that everybody's very different and motivational factors will be different for all. Hopefully give you some tips and tricks on how to stay on track, which is the main thing. We can all start being really motivated at the start of the year, and as the year goes, we might have some challenges and it goes up and down, but it's how to maybe try to stay on track and keep ourselves motivated throughout it. And ensure referees learn how to set goals to help with motivation. So a big bit, hopefully, that you'll take out of tonight is a great way of staying motivated is actually having goals, setting your goals and knowing what them goals are. So that's what we're hoping to cover, them 4 key areas this evening. We want to set the scene for you first and foremost, okay? So just going to ask you to answer here in the chat box is, throughout the playing season, do you become demotivated? So this is for you. Is it A, often, B, always, or C, never? So think of the playing season that you're out there refereeing all year and let us know, A, B, or C, throughout that playing season, do you become demotivated at any stage? How are we looking, Grode?
Interesting. It's a kind of a straight mix from either C or it's A. So we have no B's in yet, so it's either C or A.
So it's either never or often. That's what's your take on that, Shane?
It's interesting. Maybe the often part of it, I don't know, maybe it's something to do with maybe newer referees, maybe the never people are well established referees. I really don't know. It's very difficult to say, but look at, I guess people can get demotivated, and I'm sure we'll touch on a few of those bits later on.
Yeah, and I think it's important that there's a realization. So I'm not really that surprised that it's often or never. I'm glad we don't have always, because we have always, we're in it for the wrong reason. So that actually suits me better, being often or never. The next big question we want to get you thinking about is, what motivates you most to referee? So I think this is important. Is it A, enjoy the game and controlling the game? Is that why you referee? Do you enjoy actually being out there and helping out and being in the control in the middle of it? B, giving back to the sport or the association. C, money or payment benefits. Or D, getting better and being part of the team. So what one of them do you think suits you? Just type in there A, B, C, or D. You see a lot coming in here now.
Yeah, it seems to be a lot of B's and a lot of D's. So giving back to the sport, getting better and being part of a team, and then 1 or 2 A's then in there as well. I haven't seen a C yet.
Well, that's good. Me and Shane had a big conversation on the C a while ago. Look, we'll talk about motivation and what motivates you. And I think if you can link your motivation to your goals, and if you can link the really getting in there, that you're in the right headset for maybe a D, getting better and being part of a team, you're going to be a better referee and probably a longer lasting referee. It's going to be more sustainable for you. The enjoyment's going to come when you're going to do it probably for a longer period of time. And the last one I have for you is when refereeing, do you have more extrinsic or intrinsic motivation? So A or B? It'll be interesting to see what this one is.
Yeah, sorry, Claire. Some are just wondering what you mean when you mean extrinsic or intrinsic.
How you're motivated. Are you more motivated refereeing by extrinsic motivation, extrinsic reasons, outer reasons, or intrinsic? Are you motivated more internally? I suppose we'll cover both of them in the next couple of slides.
So majority is coming in as B, and then there are a few A's as well.
Good. So suppose when I was looking at this, I thought one of the best ways to maybe start it off is let's define what motivation is. So motivation is the process that initiates, guides, and maintains goal-oriented behavior. It is what causes you to act, whether it is getting a glass of water to reduce thirst or reading a book to gain knowledge. Motivation involves the biological, emotional, social, and cognitive forces that activates behavior. So being motivated is that process, okay? It's goal-oriented behavior, and it makes you actually act on something. So I actually really like that bit about it, you know, even about getting a glass of water if you're thirsty. You have to actually act. You have to be motivated to get up and do it. Motivation is the drive to achieve your goals or needs. It is influenced by how much you want to improve, what skills you will gain, and how much better a referee it will make you, and your personal expectations. So that is really what motivation is in a nutshell, especially for referees, thinking about trying to bring it round. What drives you? Okay, what's your goal? Do you want to get better? And how are you going to make yourself motivated to get better? So let's get started. Why is motivation important to referees? So I'm going to ask you that just to have a think of yourself, your own personal journey. There's a lot of people on this call. You're all refereeing. Why is motivation important to referees? So what do you think?
We have a few coming in now. It's a retention to keep doing the job every year. Mental health is another good point. We'll just wait now on a few more. Keeps you interested. Game preparation, the journey, planning. Keeps you interested and get better at the job. Self-improvement.
And Shane, you're a national referee. So if I was asking you that question, why do you think motivation is important for referees? What do you think?
Yeah, if you have your goal set on something clear, it's important, you know, to align yourself to that goal and always come back to it. So if you're feeling a little bit down, always come back to what your goal is and try and align yourself to that. That's what it is for me. And you know, some of those goals can be short-term goals, some of them can be long-term goals, and again, we'll go through a lot of those later on, but there's some brilliant points in there: self-improvement, keeping interested, trying to better yourself. That's what you want to do. You're only as good as your last game.
I think it was a good point that a couple of them made there when I seen them coming in. To keep them, more motivation is important, to keep them going out there refereeing week in, week out, year in, year out. I suppose in them cold nights you really need in the winter, that motivation to get out there and do it for all the reasons that you outlined, about getting better, personal improvements, goals, etc. So it's definitely it's probably a factor we don't really talk about regarding referees, but they have to be highly motivated to keep continuing going out there and doing it. So it's probably something we need to talk a wee bit more about. So what I want you to remember: motivation is an important trait for officials to possess, because it provides you with the goals to work towards. Oh, sorry, skipped on that. Provides you with the goals to work towards in order to climb the ladder or the merit table. So that's the first thing. It's important because it'll help you work towards your goals, to keep you motivated to say, okay, I've only started refereeing now, I'm only refereeing Division 4 games next year. I want to make sure if I'm refereeing Division 3 or 2 games, and my aim is that maybe in 2 or 3 years' time to be refereeing Division 1 or Senior Championship games. You're always working towards the next goal or the next step in the ladder. Motivation can help you solve problems out in the middle of the field, because you're thinking and you're motivated to learn and to do better. Help you change old habits which have led to errors or a lack of match control. So again, continuous development. Help you cope with challenges to your authority in games and take opportunities to bring the fixture back into your realm of control. So I think that's a real important one. We're all going to face challenges as referees. You know that when you go out onto the pitch, and you have that motivation and that confidence in yourself that when these opportunities arise, you can bring the fixture back under your control. And you're motivated to do that, not just to let the game pass you by and go, I'm not really that bothered. You have that motivation to want to be the best of your ability throughout the whole game. So we talked about motivation, extrinsic motivation. So there's two main types: extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic motivation is when you're motivated by getting your name in the media for the right reasons, not the wrong. You're motivated by receiving the Referee of the Year award at the end of the season. That they're all things you want to see your names in the light, maybe, possibly. These sources of motivation are called extrinsic motivation. They describe actions that are driven by external rewards, such as money, medals, gifts, praise, and awards. While extrinsic rewards can initially increase motivation, over time, the exclusive use of extrinsic rewards has been shown to decrease motivation. When your motivation is reliant upon awards, medals, and accolades, once those rewards are no longer received, motivation will decrease. So what they're basically saying is the bright, shiny, the external motivation, maybe getting, which is all things that are nice, the lovely kit bags and maybe new jerseys, or maybe traveling to a game and coming away with a good few pound in your pocket, or they're all rewards that are, after a period of time, it won't mean that much to you at the time. Yeah, they're nice to have if you're getting a gift, or you get Referee of the Year in your county, or and you're appreciated. Obviously that's lovely. Obviously it motivates you, of course it does. It's always nice to get a clap in the back. But what we're saying here is that type of motivation, being reliant on somebody else giving you that external motivation, can be hard for you to maintain it. So you shouldn't be completely reliant on that as a referee. You shouldn't be reliant on always having external sources of motivation, because what happens when they don't come? How do you keep your motivation alive? So just something to be watchful of. Where the intrinsic motivation is something different. It's defined as participants because you enjoy the sport itself or the challenges of the sport. So you're there because you enjoy the challenge, the thrill. You want to learn and be better, and you want to be a better referee. You know that these games are going to challenge you, and how do you rise to it? How do you motivate yourself to move on to the next stage or the next level? You may be refereeing a county, and now you want to go and step up and referee a provincial level, or you want to come on the national. You always want to challenge. The intrinsic sources of motivation to referees include love of officiating, love being part of a team, and that's working with your umpires, your lines people, fourth official fixtures, learning new skills, improving your standards of officiating and enjoyment. If you're a referee in a sport that you're passionate about and find intrinsically rewarding, you're more likely to persist when faced with challenges, of which there are plenty for officials. A mixture of both sources of motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic, is often the best method to keep a referee progressing up the ladder. Of course, from an extrinsic point of view, officials are aided by the match fees they receive, but other material rewards can be few and far between. Referees require greater levels of intrinsic as opposed to extrinsic motivation to get them through the difficult Sunday morning games and the long journeys on midweek nights in winter after a long day at work. An official's love of football and refereeing is what keeps them going through these moments. I would have to agree with that. You know, most referees, if you're talking to them, they've already maybe worked a full day, or they're running from one place or another, and a lot of them are there to do it because they love it. Because most of the time when you see what these guys are put through out there, if you didn't love it and you didn't love that challenge, you wouldn't be there doing it. And I know people do talk about money and fees, etc., but it can't be the only reason why a referee's out there doing it, because they wouldn't be able to prolong that, you know, over a period of time. It's definitely the more intrinsic you can go, and how you can motivate yourself to set your own standards, set your own goals. It'll help you in the long run to stay motivated over a period of time of 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And a big part of it is what we're going to touch on later. It definitely is about to stay motivated. You have to have the right goals in place, and easy goals that you can tick off the box. Some short, some medium, some long, to get to where you want to be and to keep yourself motivated for the next day out, for the next week out. To go out and do the January school games, or the club games, you know, in December, or the college games. You really have to love it, I suppose, in order to keep that up. Gaining motivation, okay. Many officials struggle with motivation. For referees, it can be a hard factor to control. Some tips to help gain motivation are: set yourself one specific achievable goal around an area of your officiating you most want to improve. I think that can be a big problem. People maybe try to set themselves too many goals. You know, if you try and work on one thing at a time, you'll actually achieve it quicker and you'll achieve it better because it's really focused. Think about how to incorporate that goal into your training, what you need to do to make it happen, and then put a time frame on it. If you're going to set a goal, you have to have a time frame or it'll be kicked back to the curb. You have to be able to look at it after a month, after a week, after 2 months, after 5 games, after 4 games, and see if it has improved. Break your goal into small, easy tasks and set regular reminders to work in this area. Encourage your colleagues, friends, and family to support you. So that means sharing your goal. If you have a referee out there, share your goal. You know, have a buddy, have a support network, and tell them what your goal is. This will keep you motivated because people will ask you, how are you getting on with that? Are you finding that better? Have you improved, do you think? Or somebody's watching you and saying, look, I think you are getting better at your ticking or your fitness or your positioning on the pitch, whatever your specific goal is. I'm really a stickler for this. Stick to your routine. I think that can really help you. Sticking to your routine can help you stay motivated and help you be able to check in on yourself all the time. Motivation gives you the mental strength to persist in the face of many challenges and to rise to the occasion when necessary, that you can achieve closer to your full potential. So it's really important. And I think I might just knock over to Shane here for a minute, just on that gain of motivation. There were some lovely points in and around there. You know, you're obviously refereeing in them winter days. I see you laughing and smiling at me when I'm saying about them college games in December and getting up and you're freezing and your Under Armour goes back on again. How, for you, does your motivation vary throughout the year?
Yeah, Claire, it can be tough at certain parts of the year because being on the national panel, you really don't get much of a break at all. So you're constantly thinking of the next stage of refereeing, and the championship finishes up, and then you know the schools is starting and maybe the colleges are starting, and then you're looking around the corner to January and you're thinking, oh, there's a fitness test coming around the corner as well. So you need to set yourself, goals around all of those things. And you made a great point earlier on. Some of us that are on the national panel will have certain goals. Some newer referees might be just refereeing maybe at the lower divisions, and their goal might be to referee at the next level, at up a division or get to a championship game, whatever. So it's about keeping that goal, and as I mentioned earlier on, aligning yourself and aligning all the tasks to that goal and not forgetting it. Stay on track, stay on task at all times. It's like as if if you're in college and you were writing a report, you'll always come back to the question that you're asked to write on. Don't be veering off track. So set that goal, but make sure that it's realistic and that it's achievable and that there's a time allotted to it as well. That will keep you on track. But you sometimes you are out, you're training, you have a match at the weekend, and it's a lovely sunny day, and the following weekend it's absolutely teeming rain. You put your leg out the car and you're kind of thinking, oh God, it might be just easier to stay at home today. But you bring yourself back to the goal and you say, look, this goal, it incorporates all of these things. And I'll just give you a little example. The day after I refereed the All-Ireland Intermediate final this year, and that was a huge, motivating factor for myself. And I had an under-12 challenge match the following evening. And a member of one of the teams came to me and said, Jesus, Shane, this is some come down, isn't it? And my answer to her was, well, this is where it started, at this grassroots down at the under-12s. And I will learn something from this today, and hopefully it'll boost me on. So, never forget who you were and where you came from and where it all started. And you always have to come back to the grassroots. Keep yourself motivated that way.
I think that's a really good point, Shane. It can be easy sometimes to look at the bigger things, but you have to try and get an enjoyment out of it every time you go out there, or you'll not. That's when you will get demotivated. So probably even I didn't know you were refereeing the under-12s the next day. I would have given you a break.
Oh no! Look, it was something that was, that was booked before that, and I would never turn something like that down. But I think for all of us referees, if we're willing to learn always from no matter what game it is, never turn your nose up at anything, and do the job that's put in front of you. We can all look forward and say, oh God, I'd love to be refereeing in Croke Park next September. But that's an awful long way from now to next September. And what little goals are you going to put in place for that? Or if you're a newer referee and you're refereeing under 12 football and you want to make the breakthrough into under 14 football, what are you going to what goals are you going to set for yourself? So everybody's goal setting will be different.
I think that probably knocks us into about staying on track, which is probably the next bit coming through. I think it really, really sets us straight into it. Like, make your goal part of your training routine by using notes or an app for reminders. So you're actually tracking what you're going to do, because you said you're always going back to that goal. That's what keeps you motivated. And I think that's the real reason you're going to stay motivated, if you can keep on track. And what keeps you on track is having something visible in front of you that you can see. The big thing we probably don't talk enough about is self-talk. Positive self-talk is very important and effective. Instead of saying I can't, say I can. It's a mind shift. You have to be able to talk yourself through these things, visualize things, speak to yourself in the right manner. They will help you get through some of them more challenging days. Mindfulness helps you stay relaxed and focused. This can help you get into the zone prior to a fixture too. So it's again setting that routine. What works for you, what doesn't. I love this, and I'm a big advocate for this. Surround yourself with good people, officials that have the same mindset as you, from a support group where you will be in the company of colleagues or of varying levels and experiences, people you can trust and share scenarios with. For a referee, there's these buzzwords, community of practice. this is probably one of the most important things I can say to you as a referee. It can be very lonely out there on occasion. But if you have a couple of really good people on the same mindset as you, some referees that you can trust, they're going to support you through your journey and keep you motivated and help each other keep motivated more than anything. People that you can, say, look, this happened to me today in a match. What do you think about that? You don't know how important that is for you. Or look, this is what I want to focus on as a referee. If you see me in one of my games, can you give me a shout and say, you look, Shane, I think you did 9 out of 10 on that today, or 10 out of 10. But I know it's something, Shane, you personally, you would always have, and you would be very supportive with having a good people around you. I even know yourselves and Connacht would meet up, and I presume it's for that reason.
Yeah, it's hugely important, Claire. And I know there's some of the referees, I think, on here. I recognize some of the names anyway. But I mean, even today, I spoke to two referees from the Connacht panel, and it's great just to hook up with them. And you're not going to meet up every so often unless you're doing a standby referee or a lines person or something for them in the club games. But it's hugely important, because some days you will have a tough day on the pitch, and rather than wallowing in it and worrying about it at home and going over the match, and when you come off the pitch whether you've had a good day or a bad day. And believe me, there are bad days, and it's good to pick up a phone or send a message and have a chat with somebody and say, look, this is what happened to me, this is how I approached it. Maybe players got on your back, maybe supporters were at you, maybe the game itself was just a really physical match, and it was just one of those games that you sit into the car at the end and you say, oh my Lord, I just want to bury my head in the sand after that for a few days. So it is hugely important, and we have a brilliant network of referees in not only in the national panel but on the Connacht and even within our own county. And it's great just to bounce ideas off each other, and that keeps you motivated as well, because when you are feeling that little bit down, they'll just say a couple of sentences and get you back up on the horse again. Yeah,
and so I would definitely recommend making sure you have a buddy, someone you can trust, or 4 or 5, in a group scenario that you can meet up and talk about things. It can really help improve you as a referee and keep you motivated going forward. And
there's a good comment in here actually to link in with all that, Claire, and it's one of the members said, I had the opportunity to do lines person this weekend with very experienced referees, such a boost in motivation as a new referee, great learning, and allowed me to validate decisions I would have made or would not have made, so learning throughout, and got to see the requirement of refereeing at senior level. So now there's a new goal for that person.
I think that's brilliant, and as well as that, it actually probably allows that person to have more confidence growth as well. They'll have learned so much from being there, and picked up wee tips and hints, and maybe opened up their network of people that they could turn to for moving on to their next step. So brilliant to hear that coming through as well. And a big one, I don't know if we do it often enough. Reward yourself when you've completed a goal. Don't just let it pass you by. If you've set out a goal to achieve something, celebrate it. Celebrate your achievements. It's an important factor in maintaining good levels of self-care. So we've talked about before, batteries. You don't want your battery to get flat. You have to keep self-care up as a referee. That's how it keeps you motivated. What that mean by self-care, doing 4 games in a day isn't self-care as a referee. How can you keep motivated? You're gonna be burnt out, so you have to keep it at bay. So celebrate your goals. Make sure you're looking after yourself. It's a huge part in keeping yourself motivated. It is looking after your own self-care in order to keep you motivated. And do celebrate them goals, celebrate them wins. I like this. Successful referees are. This is everybody's own personal opinion. These are my own words. But for me, successful referees that are continuing to stay motivated are credible. What we mean by that, a credible referee is someone who turns up, who's well prepared, who has good values, and it executes every game and treats it as a learning game. They're committed to the process as well. They're committed to the journey, the game, the rules. They're there for the right reasons. Something that people don't often say, they're current. You know, referees are in the middle of the pitch, in the middle of the heated. What a wee smile or a nice comment to do to a player can turn it all around. But they have to be current, you know, current and calm. Confidence builders, that should be one of the aims. A successful referee should be encouraging them to be a confidence builder, not somebody there to hammer down the law of the land and to knock people back down. My big one, and one of the favourites, is a communicator. You won't be a successful referee unless you work on your communication skills and that you have good communication skills, because the amount of people you come across as a referee is absolutely, you know, you'll meet hundreds and thousands of people a year, between groundsmen letting you in, people in changing rooms, in pitches, in stadiums, and that's even before you go to the team managers, coaches, FLOs, physios, county board reps, fellow referees, lines people, umpires. You'll actually, then the players, you actually have to be a great communicator in terms of being able to listen and to talk, and be able to get your message and outlay it there both verbally and non-verbally. It's really, really important. The big one, consistent. You know, we hear it all the time. There's no consistency in referees. I hear it all the time anyway. It's a very hard one. What I mean by consistency for a successful referee is they're out there and putting their best foot forward all the time. They're consistently trying to make the right call. They're consistent with the calls that they are making. And if you can judge that by your own standards and continuously try to go out and referee every game in a consistent manner, that's all you can do. And the last one, a successful referee should be a goal setter, because without a goal, you know, where are you going? You're just sort of following a road instead of having a clear path. So I don't know, Shane or Grode, if you would add anything, any other ones into that. They're just, I suppose, a couple that I threw together.
I think, yeah, no, they're all very, very good points. I think it's always comes back to the why. If you're trying to find out, and as you say, clear that path for yourself or create that path, it's ask yourself why. Why am I refereeing? Why am I refereeing at this level? What's motivating me? It's because this makes me happy, or that makes me happy, or I'd like to eventually get there. So if you keep asking yourself why, you'll realize the path you actually want to take. And then you can set goals along that path. And I think it was a very good point. Not big goals, bite-sized goals, achievable goals, and you'll still get to the same destination. It'll just be more attainable. Because if you try and go for everything all at once and you mightn't get it, then you'll be disappointed. Then your motivation might go back down to zero again. It's just, what's the next thing I can learn, improve upon? Where can I go next? And once you realize that, I think it's very easy to continue on that good path.
Yeah, I couldn't have summed it up probably better myself. Some brilliant points in there again, Road. And that'll probably bring us on to this exact point. What type of goals will help keep a referee motivated? So you're there. What type of goals would keep you now as a referee motivated?
And just before your answers come in there, should respectful be on the list, was one point from the last slide.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that comes into nature for a referee. I think that the essence of give respect, get respect is that it goes both ways. I think if we can show respect to players, management, and the people we meet, you'll get it back.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So what type of goals do you think will help keep a referee motivated? Can you think of any?
Realistic, measurable targets for the season ahead. So that's even, not even just your career. You're just looking for the next game or the season that you have in front of you. So it's a very, very good, achievable way of looking at it.
Definitely. And people often say it about players, but it's exactly the same for a referee. You're only as good as your last game. You know, that's how you'll always be remembered. So breaking it down and keeping it specific is brilliant.
Getting a higher fixture.
Yes.
Knowing that support and advice is available. So I guess that's availing of more support and advice going forward and improving your knowledge.
We've touched on it a lot, and we're going to jump into this area a bit better regards goals. So we're just going to sort of break down, and you could do a whole webinar on goal setting, guys. So this is really only short and sweet version of it. But goal setting is an established technique to increase motivation and enhance confidence. It is used widely across all levels of sport to provide essential direction at both an immediate and long-term level. Goals can take a variety of form, and they have both personal and situational. The ABCs of goal setting for referees, and I've tried to break this down to the simplest version of, and somebody actually basically said it, and when they commented back, achievable. Goals need to be achievable. A big picture is not easy to achieve at once. Okay, so small, steady, and once you tick one off, you're doing better. You're feeling better. You feel like you've achieved it, and it's on to the next one. Believable. Goals need to be believable. Each goal will help you get into that bigger picture. So you have to make sure they're realistic. That's the B. Committed. If you want to achieve your goals, you need to commit yourself to them. Act on a daily basis and do things consistently. There's nothing better than being consistent in a process. Turning up every day, you know, that home in your skills, that's what happens. Whether that's making sure you bring in reflection after your games, taking that time to reflect in every game, scoring yourself in a couple of different areas. You know, I was actually on one of our webinars last week with a sports psychologist, and she talked about it. She was at the Olympics this year with Team Ireland, and one of the athletes from Australia who won silver, she watched her and she was a high jumper, and after every single jump she went and marked herself out of 10 and picked one thing to work on for the next jump live at the event. That's what she did. She had notebook and pen. I just thought it was unbelievable, because I think that's how we can do it. You know, as a referee, that's what I thought of straight away. If, as a referee, if we went and marked ourselves straight after a game in terms of refereeing, and even wrote down one thing we want to be better at the next day, well, people wouldn't talk about the standard of refereeing being poor ever again. It's wee small steps of getting there, but you have to commit to the process of it. Anything that you do in terms of a goal, have to commit to it. Types of goals, processes versus outcome goals. There are 3 different types of goals. Okay, there's outcome goals. The outcome goals are your long-term ambition. They are the results of your actions. So that's your big one. Okay, they are the result of all your actions coming together. Performance goals. Performance goals are the standard you want to achieve yourself and are independent of others. E.g., performance goal to pass the yo-yo fitness test. It's up to you to reach that goal. So that's an important, you know, refereeing. You have to, if you want to be in a provincial referee or a national referee, you have to pass the yo-yo fitness test at a Pacific level. That's something you have to train for. It's so important. You have to realize this is what I have to do to pass. So I have to set a goal in place to pass this test. I have to train for it. I have to lay out to 20 meters. I have to practice running to the beep. I have to increase my speed, because if I don't pass that, okay, I can't get on to the next stage. So that's a performance goal. It is in and surrounded around it. A process goal is sometimes your goal isn't about setting a certain time, but you want to learn something new. You want to improve habits, a skill or a part of your technique. E.g., you might want to improve your positioning for a kick out. So that's a process goal. You're actually developing a part of your game. Okay. And all 3 types of goals are very important for a referee, but understanding that they're very different. but you linking them in together to make it a fuller picture. Your outcome goals should link into your performance goal and link into your process goal. All should be surrounded. Shane, I don't know if you want to come in here and just chat, have a wee chat about goals. I know it's something you've had a lot of experience in, and maybe you want to share your own thoughts process in and around how you set your own goals for the year, or whatever format you use.
Yeah, I think the most important thing that you need to try and figure out in your mind is, the disappointment factor. So when you are setting goals, make them realistic. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, if we're on the national panel, a lot of the national referees, their objective will be to referee an All-Ireland final in Croke Park at some stage. That's what we all want. Everybody wants to go onto the hallowed turf of Croke Park. But if you set your goal, for example, I want to referee the All-Ireland final next September, you could be disappointed. Whereas if you change that long-term goal into I'd like to be involved in the All-Ireland final in some way, shape or form within the next 3 years. Now that's a long-term goal that's realistic. That's not to say that I want to referee the All-Ireland final next September isn't realistic, but it just broadens your chances. The performance goals are obviously going to lead to that. So every match that you referee, whether it's under 12 or whether it's a senior championship match, you need to set yourself, the goals within those games. So if you make a mistake, you need to be able to reflect on that and bring it to the next match and say to yourself, okay, this didn't go well for me last week. Now I'm going to align myself back to my shorter term goals and try and improve step by step. The process goals there, if you want to improve a habit or a skill as part of your technique, you might want to, improve your fitness. You just need to set yourself small individual pieces, small bite-sized pieces, and they will all lead to your long-term goal at the end.
Thanks, Shane.
We've got a nice comment in here as well. I've been refereeing now over 17 years and being grateful to be involved at all levels of officiating, from club to provincial. But now I want to try and motivate new referees in my own county and also still be able to ref games myself and be the best version of an official that I can be. But I could not have stayed involved or managed my goals for so long without the help of a lot of different officials from all levels along the way, who have become very good friends and always are there to give me help and advice. One thing to remember is never be afraid to ask for help or advice, or to change your goals or adapt your goals, I would say, in that particular scenario.
I think that's brilliant, Claude. Whoever's come in with that, being able to adapt your goals is the main thing to keep motivated. You have to roll with the circumstances that are going to be played with you, and you have to be able to step by step. And the second big one out of all of that I take from that is, don't be afraid to ask for help. Everybody needs a hand sometimes, and if you're struggling as a referee or you're unsure about how to set goals, reach out and ask someone that's been there before you. Anybody's willing to help, especially I think referees are always really willing to chat to each other and to talk things like this through. So reach out there. And I suppose this has been touched on. Effective goal setting needs smart goals, and we went through them all there. Shane hit them all in the head. That making sure your goal is specific, measurable, achievable. That it's timely and realistic. And if we can hit all of them on the head, then we're flying. I set myself goals every week in work. I'm sure everybody's the same, but I sit with my diary, and every day I have a list of things that I'm doing or a goal for the end of the week, and they're all wrote down, and I get nothing more. That's just me than of better achievement than making a tick beside that thing on my list. And that's my process. And it can move into sport or into anything. You have to make it specific, so once you achieve it, you feel great for achieving it. And it goes on for refereeing, and whether it's you want to go back and help educate other people, that's even a better skill, and that you're going to take time back and help other referees and see if they can see if you can shape and mold them into their next step. So what I want you to think about now is just a small task. If you have a pen and paper, you can write it down. If you don't, everybody will have a phone beside you, or you can just think about it in your head. But usually if you write it down, you can think better. Think about your current situation that you're in now as a referee. Okay, where are you at? What stage are you at your development? Where are you in terms of refereeing games? Okay, where are you in terms of your tactical fouls, your non-technical fouls? How are you with yellow cards, red cards, kickouts, positioning? Think of all them small little areas and give yourself a score. I think that's really important. And I'd like everybody to do this at some stage, maybe not right now, but you can think about this and do it down the line. You can pick a couple of areas that you really want to work on. Write them down, give yourself a score in each of the area. Okay, I'm 7 out of 10, or I'm 8 out of 10, or I'm a 6, or I'm a 5. Write down your ambition. Where do you want to get to? Where do you want to get to in 1 month time, 6 months time, 9 months time, 12 months time? Then find a learning objective that links to that. So if you want to get to here, so if I want to be in a shout or involved in a county final in 12 months time, how do I make myself, give myself the best possibility to be selected, to be involved in some type of shape in my county final for the year? How can I, and that's something still that's out of your control. So don't be, be aware of that, because sometimes you mightn't be able to be involved in the county final because teams involved, your own club team was involved, or something else has just happened. But think if you can link your training to what your ambition is, or whatever it is. And it might even be being involved in a game. It could be, I want to be better at ticking. I want to make sure I don't ever miss another yellow card for persistent fouling. I want to make sure that I'm really clear on the charging rule, and that I'm going to study charges so that when it happens in my situation, I know what's a red, what's a yellow, what's a non-technical. Make an action plan and review after every game, something we forget to do. Every day is a learning day. Shane said that about his under 12 game. If we're getting into that mindset that every time we go out to referee, we learn something from it, you're going to be a better referee come the end of it. So I would encourage you, take a picture of them points there, and at some stage do a self-scan if you as a referee. Scan that and start planning yourself. It'll help you keep motivated. And this is probably one of my favorite things around goal setting. If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up somewhere else. And I think that can happen to us all the time. We start off, maybe we jump into the car with no plan of where we're going to go, or, I might go down, I might go and watch this match, and then you drive past another match, or you stop in a McDonald's on the way, or, you're not really sure where you're going. That's so it for goal setting and for you as a referee. If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up somewhere else. I think that's really important. You have to decide where you want to go with this. That in itself helps you stay motivated, is knowing where you want to go and then always going back to it. And Gerard mentioned it earlier, the whys, the whys, the whys, the whys. Why am I doing this? Where do you want to go with it? How do you get there? I'm just going to play this wee video for you for a couple of minutes. Hopefully it works.
The wolf on the hill is never as hungry as the wolf climbing the hill.
It's not easy going it alone, but if you keep going, stay true to yourself, it will be worth it in the end. The hardest walk you can make is the walk you make alone. But that is the walk that makes you the strongest. That is the walk that builds your character the most. To all of you fighting battles alone, to all of you going against the grain, battling the naysayers, stay strong, keep going. Stay strong, keep going. This walk is hard, but the hardest walks lead to the greatest destinations. The toughest climbs always lead to the best views. It will be worth it in the end. And if you show what you are made of, the right people will show up in your life. You won't be a lone wolf forever. You have qualities only few can admire because most don't possess. You have strength only few can understand because most have never experienced. So don't give in. Don't settle. Don't lower your expectations to fit into the world. You were born to stand out. You were born to lead. Lead the pack. They say the wolf on the hill is never as hungry as the wolf climbing the hill. Always be that wolf climbing the hill. Always hungry for more. Always hungry to grow, to feed your mind and rise to the highest level you can take yourself. Never looking back, always looking forward to the next feast of success in whatever you do. It does not matter if you have to walk alone for a while. It is much better to walk alone in the right direction than to follow the herd walking in the wrong direction. Stay strong. Be different. Your destiny is in your hands. Get out there and hunt it.
Folks, for me, the lone wolf, I put that in there. When I seen that, it made me think of referee straight away. Referees, a lot of the time, sometimes you feel like you are the lone wolf. You're out there on the pitch, things are thrown at you, or a situation arises, and who do you have to turn to? You might be there at a club game, you've no umpire with you, you've no fourth official, there's no lines people, and you just feel like you're alone. You're the lone wolf. And what some things that really struck to me on that is, and I think it's really relevant to refereeing, is don't follow the pack, do it your way. The amount of times you hear of referees, oh, that club don't ring me because I'm too strict. We have one rule book, and be different. Be the referee that wants to referee by it. Start setting our own standards in terms of we're going to blow the ticks, we're going to knock the physicality out of it. This is how you should referee. Standing up and doing that sometimes will make you the lone wolf, but it's better to go in that one direction instead of following the herd in the wrong direction. And that's what I think for a referee that we can get across. Be that leader in your county. Be that referee that's going to take other referees along with them. It's going to create a group of referees that all are going in the same direction. Be that leader. That's what will make your county better and stronger, and it'll make you as a referee stronger and more motivated, knowing you're going in that direction. And sometimes it will be hard, and we will of course have challenges along the way. Don't be afraid to keep pushing the barrier, because that is eventually what will motivate you to keep moving on. So don't be afraid to be that lone wolf, I suppose, is a message I'm going to ask you to take away from that. It would be, remiss for us if we didn't think that there's going to be challenges for a referee. You have a lovely plan just to go plain sailing, but reality is so many things are going to jump in your way in terms of your motivation, in terms of your goals throughout your career. That's just the way it is. However, overcoming challenges, have a plan. Expect when a challenge is coming there, plan. Remember, you're not alone. Ask for help. and accept support when they come. When something happens to you, reach out. Feel your feelings, allow yourself to feel them, and then that's how you deal with it, okay? The biggest factor for me in terms of overcoming a challenge is learning. Learn from what happened. Could I have did something different? If that same situation happened, what decision would I make? Every day is learning. It's never a mistake if you learn from it. If you learn from something, you become better from it. So don't be afraid to learn and move on. And then always move on to the next. Always move on to the next game. You know, that's how you can help you overcome any challenges that come your way. Keep them motivated after challenges. So regularly reveal your goals and progress. Seeing progress is a great motivator in itself and also improves your self-esteem and confidence in the job you can do when officiating. Continue to set new goals. Think about what you want to achieve by your next game, next half of the season and next season. Tackle one goal at a time so you don't feel overwhelmed. Keep the momentum up. It takes up to 3 months to develop a new habit. You will have many training, match day opportunities to implement these fundamentals in time. So keep up the momentum, and routine helps it feel even more automatic over time. Find or use your mentor. A mentor can help you achieve the habit you want to change. Surround yourself with positive people, positive colleagues, friends, and family, and enhance your positive self-talk. Celebrate your success, reward yourself, and enjoy it. Shane, I don't know if you want to share anything about keeping motivated after challenges, or share any challenges you have had regarding refereeing, and how you've went back and kept your motivation up because of a setback, or something.
Yeah. So I guess again, Claire, if you have something in mind, so like most of us at the moment are refereeing at club level, and it's pretty hectic. I'm sure everyone will agree. You could be 3 or 4 times out at a weekend, but it's very important that we give ourselves the opportunity to reflect on those games, because if we have a substandard performance in the first of those 3 or 4 matches and you don't reflect on them, it's very easy to bring that into the 4th game, and you could feel very demoralized on the Monday morning coming away from it. So, always learn from your own mistakes, and I make plenty of them, and we all will make mistakes, but to learn from them and to try and stick to task. You mentioned about the rule book, Claire. It is our guide there. It's what we have to align ourselves to. So if we have a doubt, go on the website or pick up the rule book if you have it in hard copy, and take a read through and say, okay, maybe I actually did get that wrong. But be willing to challenge yourself, and to not to be cocky. Be confident in your decision, but not that you're always right, that we can actually make mistakes here. And those goals, keep them nice and small. If we have a match in 2 weeks' time, set yourself small goals around that match. Okay, what did I do in the last game? Is there anything I could do that could improve my performance in the next match? We're coming to the latter stages of county semi-finals and county finals now at this stage, and you're going to have a good team around you. And I would always say is to give responsibility to that team. So how do you want to be seen as a referee? Do you want to be seen as the person in the middle that makes all the decisions? Or would you prefer to have 4 umpires and 2 lines people along with you, being responsible and being part of that team? And I think that's a very big motivating factor for me, is that I can say to a lines person or to an umpire, take responsibility. If you see something there in the corner, or you see something behind my back, let a shout in at the player, tell them to stop it, and you're becoming a better team player. And I think that's important. Surround yourself by good people, eliminate the negativity.
Yeah, definitely. It's so important. It'll all help you keep on the track, keep on your path. Folks, we're going to take a couple of questions if anybody has any now. But the key take-home messages from us are really easy. It's about thinking back. I want you to remember to ask yourself why you're passionate about refereeing. I think that's fundamental to stay motivated. Why do you like refereeing? Remind yourself of it. Why do I do this? This is why I do it. This is the joy that I get in it. Don't ever move far away from your core values of your why. What do you enjoy about match days and learning from colleagues? You know, what buzz did you get out of that? Get more of it, you know. Why did you enjoy learning there? Why do you officiate? Always come back to the whys. This is why I'm giving up my time to do this. Ultimately, what do you want to achieve in your refereeing career? These are all things to help you stay motivated. What do you want to achieve in your refereeing career? Knowing what motivates you will help you continue to excel and reach your goals on the officiating ladder. So I think that's really important. You have to figure out yourself what motivates you. And when you can figure out what motivates you, you can help yourself stay motivated. And you can help yourself by staying motivated by taking small steps across the board. So I want to thank you for coming on and listening to us this evening. Hopefully you pick something out of it. And I want to thank Shane and Grode as well for all their assistance. And we'll see if there's any questions there. And if Shane, Grode, if you have anything you want to wrap up with, you can work away.
Yeah,
now.
no, we'll just come in with some good comments here and maybe a few questions there towards the end. One person said, I personally don't have goals when it comes to officiating. I just want to do my best in every game. So after that, hopefully the big ones will come. Otherwise, if the goals aren't met through no fault of your own, that won't deter your motivation or your grow or love for the game. So I think it was interesting. I love the fact that this person said, I just want to do my best at every single game. I think we can all kind of recognize that now this evening as that is a goal. It mightn't seem to be a specific goal and it might feel more generic, but it's absolutely a goal. And if people are happy and that's what motivates them to referee in that place, then that's brilliant. If you're hoping then to see, to move up levels, get bigger games, then maybe there are opportunities that you can align your goals with that can create those opportunities for you in the future to continue to get those, to progress and get those bigger games eventually. So I think it's a very good point. I can absolutely see where you're from. And not everyone has to be the highest level of refereeing. We need referees at every single level. So whatever your motivation, as long as you're happy to be where you are. And what we go through, I think, this evening is the pathway of if there's something else you want to achieve, how you can go about achieving that. So another point then is any advice for keeping fitness up when you're getting older and the games are getting much faster, etc. Even though you still want to keep refereeing, but sometimes it's difficult to maintain fitness throughout the season. And another person came in, and this is our community of practice emerging now in the chat group. Plenty of brisk walking at least 5K per day.
Yeah. Look, we're going to do a webinar on fitness for a referee. It's always a challenge every time you hear it. What I'd say is you do it what suits you. Whatever you have to first of all look at what time you have, then work out when the best time for you to train is. Is it better for you to train in the morning before you go to work? Is there lunchtime, and will that suit you to do a bit of training? But doing some consistent training is going to help you stay fit as a referee. Look, not a huge believer. Doing a 5K a day isn't going to suit everybody. It isn't going to help all referees. Refereeing is all about speed, endurance, long distance sprints. We're now going box to box, and then you obviously need your overall cardiovascular. But there's loads of other stuff as well that'll help you in terms of refereeing, in terms of different exercises, cycling. But I think that'll be for another webinar. But just if you are going to look at you, if that's one thing you want to look at in your fitness, there's loads of support out there. But what I would say is do it with it suits you, a time that suits your time and activities that you enjoy, and that's what will really help you cross the goal for that.
Perfect. We've won there.